Hello and welcome to Let Me Be Frank. I'm your host, Frank Duran, and this is my brother.
Yeah, I'm Jack.
Welcome to the show. This is Let Me Be Frank. It's kind of a whatever I want to do kind of show. We kind of wanted to do a show, but I felt constrained by format and so many other things. So that I decided to do a show that I can be just me in and just let talking happen and make a podcast and a show. And who else can I be the most frank with other than my brother, Jack Duran? So we're very excited to do this.
So this is episode 1 of the podcast.
Yeah, but that's not the only thing it's going to be, because we want to do many other things with it. And what's important is that the podcast is about topics, and they'll be about broad things, broad strokes, if you will.
Talk about things you like, things I like, and what we do.
Yeah, exactly. Super simple stuff. But what I'm going to do on a more weekly, daily basis is reviews that are going to be short and live streamed onto YouTube. So this YouTube channel will consist of these 30 to 45 minute to an hour podcasts, however long we want to talk, to these short live stream reviews in a set, and then Let's Plays, which we'll call Let's Play Frank, with a Let's Play comma
Frank.
Yeah. And with guests, of course. Jack's got a great gaming system, and I don't, because I'm a loser who has only Nintendo systems.
So we can play Nintendo Switch when it comes out, or we can play computer games, or...
Yeah, exactly. Jack's got a great Steam system, basically.
We like video games and movies and TV shows, so that's just like what we do inherently. So.
Exactly. Anything nerdy we want to talk about. This show is not exactly a comic book show. I know I'm used to doing podcasts about comics, but I don't. I went to school for film. What I do as a job is shoot cameras. Shoot with cameras. What I want to talk about is movies most of the time. And that's kind of a great transition. And I just completely fucked up the transition.
I mean, we just wanted to talk about like movies coming out right now. Maybe even more specifically, superhero movies and TV shows.
In 2016, moving into 2017.
I think we should talk about that. That's a good first episode.
Yeah, exactly.
You just want to start talking about
2016. So, 2016... solid year. We kind of knew it was going to have some good surprises here, but it also has a few letdowns.
I think it's a good start for like all the stuff that's coming out soon, even.
Yeah, and especially in 2017, you kind of have to know what you're going up from.
It sets up for what's coming
exactly
in
the next 4 years, basically, for confirmed dates. But like, we're only going to talk about 2016 and 2017.
What's coming out now?
Deadpool started off this year in February. I mean,
the best to come out of the movies of that time.
I think it may be the best superhero movie of this year.
Totally. I would say that.
I think that it kind of stands on its own, and it came so early, and it was such a surprise that like it is able to it's able to stand above the rest as being unequivocally better than all the other ones, because we can bring up a lot of arguments about how the other ones are not good in some ways, or not bad in other ways. But Deadpool, I think, is very solid. It's a very anybody could pick this up, anybody can like this movie. I know you're a big Deadpool fan. You own a lot of Deadpool.
That's one superhero where I've actually owned the comics, so I have a deep opinion about Deadpool. So when it came out and it was actually really good, that's amazing to me.
Right?
It's like superhero movies, if it just turns out well, I really enjoy it.
Exactly, and if it actually take that step above and actually be really great, it's always really nice.
I just think he did it all right.
Yeah, exactly. Ryan Reynolds steps into the spandex and exactly embodies it, and I think that shows in his web personality now, and and everything he does moving forward. And it's I think it's going to be a great stepping stool to Fox doing better with their movies. And that's not saying Days of Future Past wasn't good. I love Days of Future Past. Love X-Men Days of Future Past, but that was 2015. In 2016, there was X-Men Apocalypse.
And what do you think about that X-Men?
I don't like it. No. That's my problem. It's a fine movie. X-Men Apocalypse, it's fine in most respects, but the problem is you named it Apocalypse, and I've always had a problem with the villain of Apocalypse because guess what? He's not going to cause the apocalypse because somebody's going to step up and stop the apocalypse.
Well, you know the X-Men win every time.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, that's why I like Days of Future Past because, like, there was actual consequences. These old versions of characters could die out. But in this, it just, there felt like there was no consequences and everyone just kind of, you know, everyone just goes home at the end of the day, you know, like, and I know some people can argue that they tried to build consequences into it, but like, I feel like if you call it Apocalypse and you can't actually end the movie in an apocalypse, that's the problem. Like, I've always had that problem with this character. Yeah. And that's why I don't think this movie floats as well as the other X-Men movies. It's not bad, and it's not, and you could argue it's better than many of the X-Men films, but it's still, to me, all the suspense is gone because you kind of know the villain's not going to succeed at all. It's like fighting in comics death or abstract things, you know, like abstract thoughts, you know, like time directly or something like that. It takes a great writer to take it to that next level, and I don't think they did an okay job here. I don't think it could really take off.
I didn't think it was the best it could have been.
Yeah, exactly.
I agree.
And I mean, Bryan Singer was back for it, but I don't think it really, I don't think it does.
It's not the best director for it, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, he's done tons of these, but I think with moving forward with the next two, they have to step away from Bryan Singer heading these X-Men films, maybe because he's done all of them before. He's done all the great ones, and those are great, but maybe, you know, what they're taking as a hint for moving into 2017, having Logan being directed by James Mangold, you kind of go, that's different, you know, like, and that is somebody else bringing a different take to X-Men. And I'm not a big X-Men fan, so I think that as many eyes on this as possible is probably the best way to handle X-Men, because I don't think it can be strong without some heavy eyes on it.
I mean, I'm really hyped for Logan. I think that Logan could be really good.
Oh man, the trailers are beautiful, and
Coming out 2017.
You can't trust trailers. You can't always trust them because, of course, you show the best parts. I complained about this past year. Secret Life of Pets was literally only the good trailer parts. Like, otherwise it's a bad Toy Story. But basically, like, it's just like the trailer can ruin it because it can hold all the good parts of the movie and you would never know that the rest of the movie sucked dicks. And like, I think that Logan's gonna be great because of the care they're putting into it and because Patrick Stewart's back. I mean, he at this point in his career,
talk about the actors, and it's the last time Hugh Jackman will be Wolverine.
Yeah, exactly.
So I just think it's going to be I hope it's really good.
Exactly, and we can only hope moving in, but that's very early on in 2017. I think we're looking at March, February, I forget the exact dates, but
after that, Guardians of the Galaxy.
Right after Guardians of the Galaxy
2 comes out,
and that's gonna be amazing, hands down. James Gunn himself says it's his favorite movie ever, which is kind of weird to say.
I can't believe you could say that about your own movie.
your own movie, but at the same time, it kind of shows an extreme confidence in the film and kind of a like. Even as somebody making it, I'm a fan of it, you know, like, which is great for somebody who's also a fan of it, you know, like, you want a fan making the stuff, and James Gunn did such a great job with the first Guardians of the Galaxy that, like,
I think this one will
be great as long as they don't just rehash themselves, you know. That's all, you know. And I'm sure they won't. Moving into stuff that I think people really want to hear, me talk about is Batman vs. Superman: Dawn of Justice. You saw this, of course. Were we together for this?
I think we saw it together.
Yeah, we saw this together. And what did you think of it?
I enjoyed the Batman parts.
Yeah, exactly. Batman kills it. I think Batfleck does a great job.
I think it's the best, one of the better Batmans.
Yeah.
But then you add Superman to it, and I'm just not impressed, really.
Yeah, I think I guess
that's my opinion about that.
I think there's a lot of weak parts to Batman vs. Superman. As much as I want to defend the movie, I have to admit that there is very weak parts to the film, and Superman's parts are not the strong parts of the film, even though it kind of plays as a Man of Steel sequel. You know, there actually is going to be a Man of Steel sequel somewhere farther down the line, but this
kind of acted like
it. And I think the clashing tones is great, but I think they should have looked to the animated series and how they handled their Batman versus Superman episode, kind of, and drawn influences from Dark Knight Returns, of course. But the way they handle it, it's so much more lighthearted, which they're obviously taking forward into Justice League. They're like obviously going to take that, like they're like, wow, we should put some optimism and some fun into this film, because I don't think even Zack Snyder realized how dark Batman vs. Superman: Dawn of Justice was going to be. And that's where I think a lot of the faults of the movie fall, is that the tone is kind of all over the place. It's
dark,
it's light, it's hopeful, it's doomed, it's effed up at some points, it's not. And I think that you could say the same thing about Suicide Squad, which you didn't see, but we'll go over it briefly in a second. But Batman vs. Superman, I think Batfleck is great. And I think Henry Cavill does a great job as Superman. I just think the parts in this aren't as well written as it could have been.
It's just another one of the superhero movies where it's just not as good as it could have been.
And it's just the title should have brought, and they made so much money off of it, of course, because the title alone. But at the same time, they didn't even get past Civil War. They didn't pass Captain America: Civil War, and they definitely beat Suicide Squad and Doctor Strange in money wise. But like,
I just don't think they accomplished like setting up for Justice League at the end of 2017. I don't think that.
Well, you obviously need to see Suicide Squad a little bit more, but
so.
I don't think it sets up Justice League too much, but you'll see.
But the Dawn of Justice, I don't think it's...
Yeah, the Dawn of... Well, that's another problem with Batman vs. Superman, is it's trying to hold all these things at once. It's trying to be this Batman film, reintroducing Batman. It's trying to be the Man of Steel sequel. It's also trying to set up Justice League, but it's also introducing Wonder Woman, which is the first time she's on screen, that's another... I gotta say is my favorite part about this movie, other than Batfleck, is Wonder Woman's fantastic. The music for her is wonderful. It's exactly what I want, and I'm so excited for the Wonder Woman movie in 2017.
Yeah, mid-summer 2017, yeah.
Gal Gadot's not everybody's image of Wonder Woman. I say that with quotation marks, but I think, come on, guys, I think she's pulling off the part really well, and I think she looks physically like she would be a superhero, or a demigod, as who knows what her origin will be in Wonder Woman, but I think she looks like what you would think a Greek myth would look like.
I'm definitely going to see the movie in theaters.
Exactly. It looks awesome. I'm excited for Wonder Woman because World War I, they don't ever go to that in movies. Like, I feel like it's an underused topic because they use World War II all the time. And I think it would be really cool. And they just released a few days ago that it's going to be her fighting Ares, which is, to me, awesome. Because it's like, yes, that's exactly who Wonder Woman should be fighting, the gods. And just to sum up Dawn of Justice, I just think it was 3 to 4 movies trying to slam into one, and that didn't work. So that meant some of it worked, and some of it didn't. And I think you can say the same thing about Suicide Squad. Batman's great. Harley Quinn, I think, is awesome. I think Margot Robbie kills it. I think she does a great job. And I think Joker, even though it's weird and strange,
I like it because if he tried to do something too close to Heath Ledger, it would have pissed people off. So I like that he sent it in a completely different direction so that way he can be his own Joker. And sure, it's not everybody's Joker, but at the same time, it's the very essence of Joker. He makes you uncomfortable, but at the same time, it is relatable and funny and messed up at this, like, you're like, oh, like, sure, that pisses him off, you know, like, it's interesting, and I'm not saying he didn't ham it up. He definitely hams it up. But I say watch the Suicide Squad Extended Edition. It fills in some holes. Same thing for Dawn of Justice. Just watch the director's cuts, the extended editions, because
it doesn't fix it, but
it doesn't fix it, but bearable. Man, does it help, you know, because you can tell where Zack Snyder was going in Dawn of Justice with the extended cuts, because you see Steppenwolf, which introduces the villain in Justice League, and, you know, and it alludes to more Darkseid, which is, to me, is like, thank you, please keep going, you know, like,
make it interesting. Yeah.
Please keep doing that. And I mean, all this leads to Justice League later in 2017. Of course. And I think Justice League, from the images and from the footage they've released, they're obviously trying to go. And I hate using this term because a lot of people will laugh that I'm even using it as a DC fanboy, but they're trying to Marvel it up. They're trying to keep it more lighthearted, but still have that DC darkness and grittiness and realness. But
kind of make it a blockbuster now.
Yeah, exactly, because they know they have this huge cast of stars all of a sudden on screen together. A lot of people are going to show up, so they have to kind of not just gear it towards the crowd that loves The Dark Knight Returns, which, I mean, can be anybody, but like it takes a special somebody to pick it up without
I
like
as
a good comic person.
Hollywood.
Yeah, exactly.
And I hope they just make it really good.
I'm very excited.
I'm okay with that.
I think Aquaman looks great. I think Flash looks awesome. I think he looks funny. I'm sure I'm pissed as the next guy that's not Grant Gustin, but I kind of knew they weren't going to use the guy from TV to go on the movies. That would be too much of like fan service, which to like, come on. Like they're not gonna give us everything we want. They're just gonna give you exactly what they want.
And they're gonna and I'm excited for all the movies that come out of Justice League, with all of them having separate movies, like Aquaman, The Flash.
They just announced recently Green Lantern Corps is going to be a thing, and they're just saying this, but they're saying it's going to be like Lethal Weapon, where it'll be like an older John Stewart and a young Hal Jordan, and like, so that way it would be like, I'm too old for this, and then blasting people with your Green Lantern ring.
I'm okay with multiple Green Lanterns at once.
Yeah, exactly. It's called Green Lantern Corps, so it's going to be, or Green Lantern Corps, and it's going to be like,
join the Justice League eventually.
Yeah, so he's obviously not in Justice League Green Lantern, so I think it's kind of cool that they're keeping him out just for this one. Because obviously he'll join later, but like, I'm glad he'll be able to like stand on his own out in space, because obviously Guardians of the Galaxy was a success, but like it takes a special something to do that, and I think Green Lantern can do that and just like shoot off into space and be a sci-fi film for that universe, but they just need to do everything right, basically. Same as Guardians of the Galaxy.
I mean, just make a bunch and see. Some of them will be good. I don't care.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of my feeling too. As a comic book fan, this is great. You know, there's having movies. 5 to 6 movies a year that are coming out, and it's all just fun and all what I want. It's great. To finish off 2016. Let's talk about the Marvel films. Captain America Civil War introduced Spider-Man. It introduced Black Panther. It introduced so many great characters, but I think those two steal the goddamn screen. And Winter Soldier's awesome in it, but
talk about making more movies off of the characters too.
Yeah, right. It's great because it wasn't an Avengers film. This showed that you could have the whole Avengers cast in a non-Avengers film.
It's a Captain America movie. Yeah.
It's great, and it feels like it connects with Winter Soldier. You know, it feels like it's an actual sequel to Winter Soldier, while still being like the launch of the rest of the Marvel universe, you know, like,
Yeah.
which is great.
Use everyone.
There's definitely some problems I have with it. I think there's some pacing problems. It definitely like speeds you along
Yeah, if you talk
and then
about the
pumps
movie
the
itself.
brakes, and it speeds you along and pumps the brakes a lot, and it doesn't flow sometimes. But like, I can forgive that for a great Spider-Man. I think Tom Holland almost was born to be Peter Parker, and I'm glad they're going with a young Peter Parker if they have to go with Peter Parker. Of course, I would like
Homecoming
Miles
would be great.
Morales, but like, Homecoming looks awesome. The trailer looks great.
2017, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I can't wait. That's hyped.
It's so hype. But Civil War, I think there's some great parts of it, and I think Anthony and Joe Russo are killing it again. It's kind of amazing to watch Arrested Development and then go and watch Civil War. It's a weird experiment because you see their style in Civil War in Arrested Development, and you're like, this is weird. There's like an
It's
action
the same thing.
Yeah, it's like there's like this weird action style to it. It's a good experiment to do on your Netflix. But basically, if you haven't seen Civil War, it's on your Netflix. Go. You
Netflix.
won't regret it. Me and Jack actually saw this next Marvel film, Doctor Strange, the other day. Now, what did you think of it? Because this is my second time witnessing it. What did you think?
As a Marvel film, I really liked it.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's one of the better Marvel films that's come out in a long time.
I agree with that. I think that I think it's very cool. What I say about Doctor Strange is you could just cut off the first 20 minutes. The whole part where it's the origin, it's rough because they're trying to make it like, oh yes, they're trying to Tony Stark him. They're trying to be like, he's lovable but a dick. And the problem is that it just comes across as him being a dick. And
He didn't need that.
They just didn't, like, that's in the comics, but at the same time, you could have the movie could have started with the Ancient One fighting the bad guy at the beginning, and then we go straight to Doctor Strange crashing the car, being like that, like, second where he's like literally talking on the phone to his whoever, and then he would hit the car. But they had to introduce Rachel McAdams for some reason, and because they have to have a love interest in the story, and it just like, I feel like that whole 20 minutes could go and that film would be 10 times better, because that first 20 minutes puts me off in such a way that I almost didn't enjoy the film. But then by the end of it, I loved it. The whole Dormammu scene at the end is amazing. And
I like it a lot.
And it's really cool, and this is great because it flawlessly brings magic into the Marvel universe without even like missing a goddamn step. Like, they don't even like flinch at it, which is great. And I think that it's a really cool looking film, and I hope that they can bring some more of that like visual magic to some of the other films. But the thing about Doctor Strange was just that I think that 20 minutes put me off so much, because afterward, once he gets to the thing, you're charmed and he's great. But
the rest of the movie's really good though, so I recommend Doctor Strange.
Exactly, I'm recommending it. I'm just saying, like, why the first 20 minutes? Like, and if you feel that way about the whole movie, I watched it again when I was watching it with Jack, and I think it's definitely worth watching again because you know the twist at the end with the Ancient One, and you're kind of like, oh, you watch the entire movie being like, oh, cool, like, she's alluding to this the entire time. So it's definitely a movie that's worth seeing twice, but it's definitely, you know, I don't think that first 20 minutes is needed.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much it for 2016. The only two movies we're missing, which we were not going to see, were Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle and Max Steel. I'm sorry.
I wouldn't even call it a superhero.
Yeah,
movies,
not much of superhero films, and I was never a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle kid, guys. I'm sorry. Let me be frank, I've never been a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle kid.
Yeah.
So moving on, just to kind of wrap things up here, let's talk about 2017 really quick. The ones we have skipped, because we already talked about Logan, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. We already talked about Spider-Man a little. We already talked about Justice League. But I think what's exciting about this year is how I call it 2017, the year of the team. Because literally, there's Power Rangers, There's Guardians of the Galaxy. There's Thor Ragnarok, which is confirmed has Thor, Hulk, and Doctor Strange.
So another team up.
And then Justice League, of course,
to end it,
and to end out the year. And it's just like a whole year of teams, and like I kind of love that. Like, and I mean, same thing for Spider-Man. There's going to be Iron Man in it, so another team. You know, like I like that we're finally getting to a point that all these things can connect, and it feels like still special and fun, but also feels natural. It's just moving forward.
I'm excited for the other team is the Defenders on
Yeah.
Netflix.
Oh, the Defenders on Netflix. If you have not seen the Netflix Marvel shows, do yourself a favor. Pause this podcast. Go watch them.
Watch all of them.
Oh my goodness. Daredevil. Both seasons. Amazing.
Yep.
Jessica Jones kills it. But oh my god, I don't know what they're going to do for season 2. But I'm excited for it. And Luke Cage, I loved it. It's cheesy, but that's kind of the point.
It was really good. It was well done.
It's really good, and I couldn't stop saying "Sweet Christmas" for so long. Like I really couldn't.
Sets up the Defenders so well.
Sets up the Defenders. I'm excited for Iron Fist. He's the only wild card at this point, but at the same time, I'm sure it's gonna be fine because it's a Netflix show. They killed it, and I'm excited that they confirmed that they're gonna do a Punisher show because Punisher steals the show during Daredevil season 2 and
adds so much to the universe.
Exactly.
That was actually good.
Yeah, and I'm excited that Defenders will only be those Defenders and not try to bring in Punisher or any of the other characters that they've generated already. Just keep it to the Defenders and they're who they deal with directly, and that way they'll be able to balance the show. I'm very excited for that show. I think that and for Netflix this year, it's got to be Defenders, and it's got to be Stranger Things season 2, and it's got to be, which I mean, season 1 was amazing. I think it's a great show, and it's if you're nostalgic in any ways towards the 80s, which I totally am. I'm such an 80s head that I loved the Stranger Things. It just immediately touched my heart and warmed it. But
I get that.
Yeah, it's just it really did. It just got me right away. And then which literally comes out, and this will date where this episode is recorded. Tomorrow, Series of Unfortunate Events, January 13th, is releasing, and I'm sure that's going to be a gigantic hit.
I know we could talk about Netflix forever. Too.
Yeah, exactly, and I think that's another. I think that's another podcast.
We could do a whole thing about favorite Netflix things, but Netflix superheroes are really good.
Yeah,
and that's this podcast really.
But yeah, exactly. But
Netflix kills it, so we might do a podcast about them too.
Exactly, and just kind of delve into them more.
Any movie.
Exactly, that's the thing. It's Netflix called Let Me Be Frank. I'm gonna do whatever I want, except there's gonna be 3 sets of formats, so you can get whatever content you feel like listening to. If you don't like listening to us blabber on in a podcast, there's gonna be a short review where I'll nail a movie in short. We'll just go through them, and then there's gonna be the Let's Plays where me, Jack, or me and somebody else will play games, and we'll have great times, and it'll be lots and lots of fun. But basically, to finish out the show, I just want to we'll do what are you listening to right now, Jack? What's an album you're listening to? What game are you playing? And what movie would you recommend?
What are we doing?
Yeah, what are you doing? So what are you listening to right now?
Listening to for music?
Yeah.
Some Chance the Rapper.
Yeah, Chance the Rapper's Christmas album was fucking awesome.
I mean, anything by Chance the Rapper has been amazing.
Great. I hope he gets all his Grammys. Because
I think it's really good. Yeah.
And what are you playing?
Playing for video games?
Yeah.
I'm doing Overwatch, which I got for Christmas.
Nice.
Blizzard's shooter team shooter.
Yeah, you're a little late to the game, but still you can get up to it.
Yeah, it's this year. It came out 2016, so yeah, a little bit late, but for Christmas and whatever. And, it's a fun game. It's competitive.
Yeah, it's a good time. And then I guess that's we already talked movies, so I guess okay, yeah. So
we've been watching these movies, so that's the movies.
Yeah, exactly. I've been listening to Childish Gambino's Waken My Love. It's so good. And
Funkadelic.
It's great. It's different for him, but it sounds like Childish. It's so great, and I love listening to it.
What are you playing?
I'm playing Brave Exodus, Final Fantasy Brave Exodus on my phone. It's a mobile game, and sure, it's definitely a freedom game, but at the same time, I can't help myself. It's a lot of fun. You get to play with a lot of different Final Fantasy characters, and I somehow just keep coming back. I play every day since I downloaded it, and I really dig it. Don't buy anything in the game. The economy is completely screwed up in it, but if you can play for free the entire time, you have a good time. And I definitely, it's definitely one of those games that gets better with more friends playing it with you. You know, it's definitely one of those mobile games that if you know somebody else playing it, it'll be better. I guess we're very excited for the Switch news, and once the Switch drops, we'll be owning that shit, and we'll be
we're probably gonna play some.
That's
Switch
probably what some of the first Let's Plays will be, starting in
channel.
March, and who knows, moving on.
Whatever comes out on Switch. When it starts.
Yeah, we want to be on.
We want to be playing that when it comes out. Yeah.
Exactly. And so, guys, this has been kind of the podcast. It's very loose. This is the first time we're doing it. But that's kind of the point. Is I just want to be able to talk. Like I'm so the reason why I do podcasts in the first place is I have lots of opinions, but writing them down takes so long that I lose interest. So
I just want to do this.
So I just want to talk.
And then if you guys have any questions about superhero movies, comment.
Yeah, comment. So what we're going to be doing is these shows are going to be on YouTube and Facebook. Once we get the podcast going, we'll actually be live streaming them as we record them on Facebook. So that'll be where you can watch a live stream of the podcast and record them, or you could just go on YouTube and watch this as the audio-only version on YouTube. But
for right now,
it's just going to be the audio only on YouTube.
It's going to be YouTube. A lot of our stuff is going to be on YouTube. So
but
just look on YouTube.
YouTube. Individual reviews will be live streamed right on YouTube. So there'll be notifications to hop on and actually discuss these things with me. I might not answer you, but I will try to if you have a legitimate question or something that piques my interest, or even a question. I'm always, or an opinion on something. I'm always down for that.
Right.
I really want to get back into the podcast, and I think having a show where
we come out with weekly content could be a really good thing.
Yeah, exactly. Guys, we're really excited for 2017. Sure, it was a shit year in politics, but man, the movies weren't bad in 2016.
And I think they're just going to get better anyway.
Yeah, they're just going to get better. I think the movies, they learn from every year. Looking at 2017, Power Rangers, either hit or miss. Logan, gonna be great. Guardians of the Galaxy, great. Wonder Woman, great. Spider-Man Homecoming, please, dear God. Thor Ragnarok, awesome. Justice League, please, dear God, or I will punch Zack Snyder myself.
And eventually Deadpool 2. That's what I'm excited most for. So
yeah, and Deadpool 2 in 2018. There's going to be new news coming out all the time. So this isn't a news podcast. It's a
opinion
podcast, and I enjoy that. But thank you guys. Thank you for this listening in, and I hope you tune in for more. Have a good one.
Have a good one.